Joining us now on BYU Sports Nation, friend of the program, also the owner of Brian's Brain, Brian Logan. Welcome back to the show, Brian. I hope you had a nice weekend. Let's talk some football, shall we?
Yes. I'm always down to talk football. How you guys doing?
We're great. Harvey Jackson arrives today on campus in Provo, Utah. What kind of an impact do you think the graduate transfer from Nebraska can have on BYU's football team right now?
No, Harvey is a player that I'm really excited about, obviously because he's coming from the secondary. But I think that's one of the missing pieces that the secondary was facing coming into the offseason, was who was going to replace Daniel Swarrington at the cap position. And so you kind of had, Craig Bills, flirting with going to cats or free. Had some of the younger guys stepping up in spring, but hearing that Harvey is coming in, I mean, he should make an impact immediately. I don't really see anybody competing with Harvey. The only thing I could think of that will allow him not to play, obviously injury, but if for whatever reason he can't keep up with the playbook, I don't expect that to happen just simply because Nebraska has a similar style of defense as BYU, so he should fit in perfectly.
Brian, a lot of talk about this secondary, increased talent. How will we know that it is better within maybe the first game or two?
Well, that's hard because you got to look at – there's always all different variables. You got to look at the running game and the defensive line, the linebackers, and you got to look at the strength of or not necessarily the strength, but the talent of the first couple of games, and so of the receivers. But I think you can just get an overall feel as a fan watching. You can kind of just get a vibe of, okay, this group is going to be good, this group is going to be bad, and then obviously after the game is over, take a look at the stats, take a look at the numbers, and then kind of see where those variables happen. But I mean, these guys are extremely athletic. I worked out with a few of them for the first time, just met them in person, like Rob and Sam Lee got cleared. And these guys are 10 times more talented than we were, me, Corby, and Andrew. And
wow, 10
even some
times?
of the other guys last year. It's amazing that the things that I was teaching them, they were able to pick it up really fast, really smooth. I mean, they look extremely athletic. Trent Trammell, I'm very excited about. But Rob Daniel, I was really impressed with. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for these guys. And so with another year under their belt, hands down, without a question, they will be the strength of the defense this year.
Brian Logan, BYU TV football analyst on BYU Sports Nation. We've been having this discussion about who will be the next BYU athlete to have an immediate impact on the next level. Somebody said Harvey Jackson earlier today. Brian, I know you're big on the secondary guys, on football players. Is the next level athlete for BYU coming from football?
That's always tough because, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity with football. Obviously, there's more players on the field than any other sport, and so the chances are higher. But for football, it's really hard to make an impact, especially if you're not an offensive guy, if you don't have the ball in your hand. Certain positions, like receiver, quarterback, running back, when you're touching the ball almost every other play, you have a better opportunity for the numbers and to kind of wow fans. Defensively, it's a little bit harder, I think, especially, coming from the secondary, a cornerback position, you don't have too many opportunities. But you look at a guy like a Kyle Van Noy or even Ziggy that can kind of take the game into their own hands and control, their stats, sacks, picks and tackles for losses. They have a better opportunity. But, I strongly believe that it's probably going to come from another sport, whether it be basketball, volleyball maybe, but that's where I would think.
Speaking of next level, Jamal Williams tweeted, Instagrammed a photo of his custom mouthpiece that appears to have, they're not actual diamonds, of course, but has like $1 million
they're real
worth of diamonds or
they're real
something.
diamonds, my friend.
Yeah. No, they're not. What does this mean for Jamal this season, Brian? What impact will this mouthpiece have on the 2014 season?
That's a whole different type of swag right there. I don't even know if I can really comment on that.
Is that Max swag?
Man, I must be getting old because I can't even understand. But I think with just I like the vibe and the flash of it. Just when you have that grill, it's like coming to play, and you can kind of show your mouth a little bit and intimidate others. But I think he's just really starting to the season's coming closer, right? Camp is coming, and you kind of almost got to transition your mindset to you're relaxed, you're coming from a relaxed point of view, but now you got to turn that on, flip the switch. And so this may be part of what he's trying to do, get in that mood. But I think Jamal is just being Jamal as far as his personality. I think this really shows his personality. I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. But I think it's good for BYU fans as well as some of the players just to kind of get a little bit more of that culture.
Brian, last time you were here hosting the show with me, we talked about the swagoo, right? The swag-goo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is Jamal's extreme swag-goo, does that potentially make him a target of some sorts, or do people just kind of look at that as it's funny, it's just his style? What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think just the type of kid Jamal is, and you hear stories about him. You always see him smiling on interviews. Just how fun he is, and his presence. Just when you walk past him for 2 seconds, I mean, he puts a smile on your face.
Yep.
And so I think with all that into consideration, I think people should realize, you should have the majority of people to say, that's just a funny thing, I don't really see any cockiness or arrogance coming from him. But you will get the smaller percentage that will, kind of look at it in a negative light, whether they're just not educated on, either culture or what that means to have a grill or whatever the case is. But I think it's a smaller percentage. It's all fun and games.
Anybody that understands anything about Jamal Williams looks at that and thinks, "Yep, okay,
that's Jamal.
That's just him."
Swag Daddy.
It is fantastic.
That's the swagoo.
If you have a problem with it, then clearly you do not understand Jamal Williams.
Then get out of the way.
Yeah, he's going to run you over.
Yes.
Brian, next week, BYU starts football practice. I repeat, next week. What was the mindset like your junior and senior years at BYU when you knew that summer camp was coming up quickly?
It's kind of like what I said earlier. You're in this transition. You got to go through this transition of flipping the switch. And I think my junior year going in, I was a little bit nervous, obviously not having that experience. But going to my senior year, I flipped the switch. A lot earlier than I did in normal years of playing ball and going into fall camp. You always have the mindset of, you're excited, and you're happy that football is back, but then you got to think about all the pursuit drills if you're a defensive player. You got to think about hiking the Y. You got to think about conditioning. You got to think about getting there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you can't leave till 10 o'clock at night. And you think about those things, and you're like, man, another one. If I could just skip camp and just go to the first game, that would make my life complete. But you also have to get through those rough times, and you really have to be tough. Camp is a mental challenge for any football player at any different on any level. It's all about just mental toughness and getting through, the little small bumps and bruises. 5 hours of sleep every night. But you gotta turn it on, and you gotta do whatever you gotta do. If you gotta put some more swagoo on, if you gotta get a gold grill like Jamal, to turn your mindset, get ready to hit somebody. Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. So that's really what a lot of the guys are probably focusing on right now and dealing with right now is trying to turn that switch on.
Brian Logan with us on BYU Sports Nation, a defensive back for the Cougars in 2009 and 2010, now taking his talents to the analyst table.
Taking his talents.
Brian, last time you were here as well, you mentioned your starters, Harvey Jackson Craig Bills at the safeties, Rob Daniel and Jordan Johnson at the cornerback positions. Then you said, well, if they go nickel, then maybe Trenton Trammell gets thrown in there, or maybe they move Rob Daniel around. Are those still, however, your 4 starters, assuming they start with a regular defense? Jackson, Bills, Daniel, Johnson.
Yeah, those are my 4 right there. I mean, I think Trent Trammell is going to find his way on the field. I mean, what I've seen and his quickness, his footwork, his agility, all the above. What I seen the other day from working out with him, he's going to make it very difficult for the coaching staff not to get him on the field. So they'll have to find a place for him. Now, I don't know if that's going to be in the beginning of the season or if it's going to be middle of the season, but he'll make his way. The thing that's hard for a coach is just the experience. I know guys come in, they see guys come in like Trent Trammell, and man, they would love to play him, but you got to look at a guy like Jordan Johnson who's proved himself, all conference corner, barely gives up touchdowns, barely gets beat on the big play. And even though Trent may have the same amount of talent as Jordan, or maybe even better, to a coach, they have to choose the veteran, over the rookie. So with that being said, same thing goes with Rob, same thing goes with Craig. Those guys are solid there. It's really just going to come down to Harvey and how well he can pick up the defense.
And that principle applies all over the place for BYU. We assume that Devon Blackman, Jordan Leslie, and all these guys, Nick Kurtz, make an impact. They've got to take over someone else's spot who knows the playbook and who has been around. Harvey Jackson, you mentioned, probably the biggest of those of, hey, we want you to come in and start at free safety right away. I want to ask you this, Brian.
Right.
Bronco Mendenhall has turned over the play calling duty to Nick Howell this year. We haven't talked a lot about this. How do you think things change, if at all, with Nick Howell making the play calls on defense this year?
Oh, no, I don't think anything is going to change. That's mini Bronco.
Bronquito.
That's what we call him, mini Bronco. I mean, it started as a joke. I think right after I left, but it's pretty prominent now. That's his nickname, and so I don't think the mentality is going to change at all. I know that Coach Mendenhall made us a promise as seniors in 2010 that he was never going to 100% leave the defensive coordinator, the play calling duties with the defensive coordinator. He was always going to play a huge role. But so I know Coach Howell will always have Coach Mendenhall there, over his shoulder to help him out. But Coach Howell, from a defensive standpoint, that's really where I believe we elevated as a secondary, even as a defense, when he took over the room in 2010. I mean, my game went from an X and O standpoint and a strategy standpoint, my game went from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds. And so I started to feel like I was a coach when Coach Howell took over, of how well he was able to prepare us strategically. So it's exciting for Coach Howell to know how hard he's worked, but I don't have I have all the confidence in the world in Coach Howell to just pick it up right where Coach Mendenhall left off.
Brian Logan, BYU defensive back and BYU TV football analyst with us on BYU Sports Nation. We appreciate the time, Brian. My spidey senses tell me you may be on the set a little bit later this week. And if you are, bring the extra large container of Swagoo.
I will bring the Swagoo. I will bring the hashtag Beat Jerem. Looks like I need some more followers. Everybody, please
BYU
follow
Sports
me
Nation
and
passed
unfollow
you, by the
Jerem.
way.
Yeah, BYU Sports Nation's account just passed you, Brian.
You need to worry about the show's account.
No, I can't. No, I don't see the show as a competitor because the show pays me. You don't pay me, Jerem. I need to beat you.
This is true.
That's fair enough. All right, Brian.
Hey, Jerem, I need you to unfollow Jerem and then follow me, please. Please.
Yeah. Throw stones at me while you try and climb on top of my face. Nice.
That's right.
We're a team, man. We're the corners. You're the safety. Let's go.
Hey, Brian. Great to have you, man.
Nice try. All right, see you guys.